going on. And for the first time on LookCountryRadio.com, Panther Nation. I gotta tell you guys, I see Jabari smile. I see Freddie grinning right there in the awesome Low Country Radio studio. You know, Freddie is owner operator extraordinaire of Low Country Radio, so I see he's got it set up there at the house, and I see old Dave Cohen joining us. And I gotta tell you guys something before we get started here. There was something I did not know before I walked in the house. Of course, most people know if they pay attention to Low Country Radio and they've heard some things I've done or whatever, they know that I live in Statesboro. Well, and that I hang out at various places, but two of my favorite places are Buffalo Wild Wings and Wild Wings Cafe. A lot of times when I'm making a choice, it usually ends up being Wild Wings Cafe because it's like less than half a mile from my house. And so I've known since I've lived here in Statesboro for the last 7 years that Wild Wing Cafe is the official restaurant of Georgia Southern Eagle Athletics. But what I did, and they have always done their coaches show live from an awesome local brewery in town called Eagle Creek Brewery. What I did not know was that when I walked in tonight, and I've probably walked into this place, I don't know, a couple hundred times at least, that tonight was the first edition of the Georgia Southern Coaches Show with Chad Lunsford live right here at Wild Wings. So if I were to turn this camera around right now, you'd see a sea of Georgia Southern fans. In fact, I'm going to give you a look. So, I wasn't lying. So there you see the set, and I think actually they just got through a few minutes ago, 7, 8 o'clock. But when I walked in, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be fun." But anyway, hey, Georgia State Athletics. I want to introduce a few people with us right now. I've already kind of introduced Freddie Howell, owner operator extraordinaire of Low Country Radio. He got this thing started. Oh, I guess Freddie, 9 years ago, Freddie, or has it been 8? I think his connection might have been stable, but Freddie Howell, I'll check back again with him. I'll see his connection come back in a little bit better. It's Freddie Howell started Low Country Radio 9 years ago at this point. His son was getting ready to start varsity football at Richmond Hill High School. And, Freddie's Bryant County Emergency Services Director. Didn't know a whole lot about broadcasting, knew the technical side of it, but said, hey, you know what? I want to bring our voice of Richmond Hill Athletics to our military families and our folks worldwide. And it's just grown since then. Now we've got a couple of high school affiliates in South Effingham High School, Effingham County, and Bradwell Institute. We do several weekly coaches shows. But tonight, we've got an awesome opportunity to announce an affiliation on a different scale. I want to introduce two other people with us right now. That's Jabari Bryant, who's a good buddy of mine, which I met a couple summers ago. I want to introduce Jabari. How's it going, Jabari?
Pretty good. Here in Savannah, Panther proud. Couldn't be much happier than I am right now.
Yeah, Jabari called me late last spring, and he left a voicemail. And I didn't get a chance to hear the voicemail. And I checked my text, and the text was very short, sweet, and simple. He said, "What would it take for us to bring Georgia State Athletics to LowCountryRadio.com in South Georgia?" And at first, I kind of took a deep sigh. I'm like, "What?" I kind of know, but I'm really not 100% sure. So then I know Jabari and his good friend Dave Cohen, who we've got on the line. I've learned a lot about Dave Cohen since, and I immediately started doing the the Google is like, I'd heard your name and I knew you as a guy that did Georgia State football and basketball. I did not know you had been there football. I did not know you also had the role of media, whatever your official title is, media director, media relations director, whatever that official title is. But the connections kind of began. So now I want to introduce Dave Cohen, play-by-play man for Georgia State football, basketball, and baseball on several different stations, but also now including Low Country Radio. How's it going, Dave?
It's going really well, Charlie. I want to thank you and Low Country Radio for having us and making us a part of your family and bringing Georgia State football. Your many listeners, once this partnership begins on Saturday night from Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, and I want to thank Jabari, fine Georgia State alum who's been very involved in alumni activity in the Savannah area over the years, kind of bringing us all together and making this happen. It's going to be a great partnership, and we're so happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, Jabari and I met 2 summers ago when I was teaching, began teaching a summer sports broadcasting camp as part of an enrichment camp that Savannah-Chapman County Schools does. And Jabari met me, and he found out what I did with Low Country Radio, and it just kind of evolved. Our friendship grew a little bit. But this past summer, after I got the text and the phone call, it's like every morning, as soon as I walked in the building, Jabari would be like, "Hey, Moon, what do we need to do? I need to do it now." And so I was like, "Yes, sir, I'm there for you, man. Let's see what we can do to make it happen." So it's been great to get the relationship going, to get things going down here. I mean, Dave, as a play-by-play man of Richmond Hill High School Athletics, which I am, sometimes we can see numbers go up and down, and we can't always see exactly how many people are listening. You know how that goes. You can see some of the software sometimes, but we can see what's going up and down and which shows are better than others. But when we get live text from fans as far as Korea or Canada or Afghanistan, some of our soldiers serving in Afghanistan, just be able to share the message of what Georgia State does, and myself with Richmond Hill High School Athletics, it's got to be great for you to have it at the same time for me.
Oh, I love it during broadcasts when folks will text me actually while we're on the air, letting us know where they're listening from. It's really kind of cool knowing that somebody other than my wife is actually listening to the game broadcast. Maybe the same with you guys, but yeah, now's a really good time to jump on and become a part of Georgia State because, we're coming off what was the best season in athletics overall a year ago with Georgia State football winning 8 games. Now we're only heading into our 13th season, right, and it's taken a little while to get our footing as an FBS program in what is now maybe the best group of 5 conference in college football in the Sun Belt Conference. So, Georgia State won a bowl game last Christmas over in Montgomery, the Camellia Bowl, and so they've won back-to-back bowl games. Men's basketball won the Sun Belt Conference tournament down in Pensacola last March. They sent us all the way out to Portland, Oregon, and we lost to Gonzaga in the NCAA tournament. But, under Rob Lanier and Ron Hunter, we've been in the NCAA tournament, I think, 3 or 4 times in the last 5 or 6 years. So it's kind of become something that's expected. And then some of the other sports, men's tennis, men's soccer, and beach volleyball were all in the NCAA tournament. I know sports that are not necessarily on the front page of media outlets week in and week out, but still, when you look at what Georgia State has done from football all the way through some of the Olympic sports, it's really a program on the rise right now. And as you guys know, Georgia State is the largest university in the state of Georgia right now after all these mergers. We're approaching 54,000 students. 30,000 plus of those are in the downtown Atlanta area. So when you look not just in downtown, but in the surrounding counties and around the state and some of the larger cities in the state, Savannah being one of them, because as Jabari knows, pre-COVID, we were pretty active in the Savannah area, both from an alumni and an athletic standpoint. Now's a great time. There's a lot going on with Georgia State, and we're just, appreciative of you guys being a part of what we're doing to help get the word out there. And I'm referring to both you, Charlie, and Jabari, as well as Freddie. We appreciate the partnership.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And that's one thing I didn't realize. Both of my parents are Georgia State alumni. And quick story before I kind of toss to Jamari really quickly and talk about the alumni relationship. Anybody ever heard of this guy named Bill Curry? Ever heard of that guy? Yeah. Well, I've been fortunate enough to meet him a few times, via phone, email, video chat like this, and in person a few times because my granddad was Coach Curry's fishing partner growing up. My granddad took Coach Curry on his first hunting and his first fishing trip because Coach Curry's dad at the time, his work schedule didn't mesh with those same hours. And so my dad took my granddad on mom's side took Coach Curry on his first hunting and fishing trip. And Coach Curry still remembers those back. So when Coach Curry got the job there, I was like, great, pretty awesome. And then, fast forward to what Jamari told me last summer, you just mentioned, Dave, that I had no idea that the alumni base of Jamari is that large, but it is, Jamari.
Yeah, we're about 10,000, 15,000 in this metro area within 100 miles of here. I mean, Georgia State has a massive alumni base, and that's one of the beauties of the school. So many people got so much out of the school. I went to Georgia State after I got out of the military and fell in love with the school. And ironically, it was when we were first talking about football and club football, and club football became FBS football, FCS football, or 1AA, and that became, Fun Belt. Everybody calls it the Sun Belt, but it's the Fun Belt, Fun Belt football. And now we're rolling. We got the coach. Hopefully we can keep forever, and as long as he wants to stay. And we got a great coach in basketball and baseball and all these other sports. And, it's just an exciting time as an alum. And the beauty is being able to share with everybody else, because the more people that are exposed to all of the great things that the school has going on, the more people that are going to want to get involved and be active and send their kids to Georgia State, which, creates this amazing community, this amazing family that we have. And I really appreciate you guys. I got to give both you and Dave and Freddie shout outs, because it was a struggle, and you guys are really patient. And you guys are really helpful with the knowledge that we needed to bring it to this area. And I could not be more excited than I am right now, even though I plan on being at a lot of the games.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the first game here in just a minute, because there's a place that I went to college at and got my first degree from. They got feathers and all that good stuff. But I'm going to ask Dave about that in just a moment. But so I was tossing back to Freddie here for just a second. Freddie, are you with us now? Yep, there he is. Look at that microphone, Freddie.
Good, Charlie.
Freddie, I mean, I told you, owner operator extraordinaire. I got a little setup at home too, similar, but not nearly as nice looking as that. He's got his low country hero and everything. But Freddie, a little while ago, right when you went off there for a second, and it kind of coincides with what Jabari was just talking about, taking the message of Georgia State athletics. It's really kind of been the mantra of Low Country Radio since you started, taking that message to people as far as Staff Sergeant Leslie Lockhart in Afghanistan. The Gibson's grandparents joined us a lot during the spring last year, their baseball season. Oh, yeah. And there's a guy that's got the same bloodline now that listens to us every Friday night that's serving our country over there in England, too. That's always a great feeling. And that's one of the beauties of, and one of your visions, internet radio was not like totally new to everyone before you started it, but you're the one in our area that had the vision of making it a big thing, and it kind of jumped off from there.
That's right, Charlie. We're all connected somehow. Jabari, Dave, Charlie, we all have family, and those family members are scattered throughout the United States and through the world, just like my son and a lot of my relatives are. And they follow sports. And if it's a local hometown guy that goes to Georgia State, he's going to talk to them and tell them, hey, we got a game this Saturday night, and it's going to be featured on Low Country Radio. Listen, if you hear my name called, that's what it's all about, And it's amazing to me what Charlie you've brought to the program and to the station, and you've accelerated it to leaps and bounds, and we really appreciate having Charlie Moon on staff with us. And so you've accelerated it. It was a one-man band, and then it was actually me and my nephew that started it, and then he moved off. He's up around Baltimore now, and he moved off, and so kind of left me, and I picked up some help, and then there was good help and great when their sons was playing football, but then when their sons got out of sports, they kind of moved off, and so I needed some money. Charlie, you stepped up, and you've filled some big shoes, and you're doing a great job. We really appreciate it. Dave Jabari, we really appreciate our chance of broadcasting Georgia State football, and we're excited about it. We can't wait to watch the mighty South Carolina Charlie's team go down to Georgia State.
What was interesting, by the way, I appreciate your comments there, Freddie. Freddie and I butt heads sometimes as well. And usually what we do is usually something that I don't quite understand as much as he does, like some of the technical things, trying to keep things simple. And I got all these crazy visions in my head, like I want to do a triple live call on somebody's satellite phone from Afghanistan while I'm in the middle of two different plays. I can do that, right? So anyway. But Freddie would always have to back me that. Hey, look, bro, I see what you're doing. Oh, hang on with there for just a little bit. But Freddie and I both have a passion for one thing. So taking our message and the things that are going on with our youth here in the Richmond, Savannah area, everybody worldwide, and now we get an opportunity to do Georgia State. And what was interesting a little while ago. I went to the restroom here. That's okay, I can say that. I went to the restroom here a little while ago, and everybody here knows. They're like, "Hey, man, what's going on? What's going on?" Well, one of the hostesses, she had this big old nice Georgia Southern sticker she was going to give me. And she said, "Hey, Charlie, you got to have this sticker, right?" And I looked at her and went, "You can't do it." And she looked at me like, "Yeah, I know." And she said, "What do you mean? You come in here all the time." And I asked her, "Have you ever seen me with a Georgia Southern shirt or Georgia Southern hat on?" And I got some stuff at home because Serena, my girlfriend, she's sort of Georgia Southern alumni. But I had to explain to her, I said, "Look, it's nothing against you. I'll get back and explain it to you." So now there's a lot of people in this restaurant know what I'm doing here right now. And they're just like, kind of looking like, what? So it's really cool to take Georgia State and Panther athletics, not necessarily in places they've never been before. I'm not going to say that. But to spread their message and what's going on, and it's really cool. And I'm going to pass it on to you right now, Dave, because like I said, there's this team that we play on Saturday, and I grew up. I'm born and bred a dog fan. The parents and family took us over to Georgia. But there's this team that we play Saturday that a lot of my right in the next couple of days, they are in our march from the South Carolina. Paid me to do it, scholarship money and all, and I was right there. But this Saturday, it's all about the Georgia State Panthers. So I know a lot of my friends will have fun with that. But Dave, talk. Just I'll tell you what. I know Freddie's got to go with us tomorrow, and but Freddie, hey, I see he's got. There he goes. He's got that Georgia State Panthers logo. We're looking to grow what we're doing here with Georgia State Athletics so much over the next calendar year. Freddie,
yeah, that's right, Charlie. It's all about marketing too. We're proud to be a partner with Georgia State, and we're going to market the best. We're going to do our best to market their product, which is football, baseball, basketball, which is college academics also. And so we'll do the best. We'll honor that product, and we will show our best. We'll put our best show on for those people. So, all right, thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you much.
I'll talk to you later, Freddie. Now, Dave, South Carolina coming up this Saturday. They've got, one of these, what are there, 101.8 million transfers that went through the portal the last couple of years. And then NIL has totally changed the face of football. But in just a few minutes, for those who are watching, we're not going to turn this into a 30-minute or an hour-long pregame show for the University of South Carolina Gamecocks versus our fighting Georgia State Panthers. But I do want you to take a couple minutes and speak on the matchup this Saturday because, every now and then in week one, there seems to be a few upsets. And I've been doing some serious looking at rosters, all the prep as if I was going to be in Dave Cohen's shoes. And the matchup Saturday looks like one of those. And I know you got to be careful, Mari and Dave. You got to be careful. You can't just say, we're going to shock the world. We're going to the playoffs, whatever. Who knows? Who knows what will happen? But it's one of those matchups this weekend where I really think some eyes will be either shut or wide open. What do you think, Dave? Talk about the matchup.
Well, it reminds me a little bit of 2019 when Georgia State went up to Knoxville and ended up playing the game of their lives, led by quarterback Dan Ellington, and really took Tennessee out of the ball game almost from the opening drive when they recovered a turnover. It's almost like Tennessee never recovered after that early takeaway in the first quarter. I'm not saying that Georgia State's going to have to play a perfect game, but when you go into an SEC building, you got to play close to a perfect game. We learned that last year at Auburn. After getting pounded at North Carolina and coming back and beating Charlotte, we went over to Auburn, and we were the homecoming opponent for the Auburn Tigers. And we led most of that ball game, but ultimately did not leave Jordan-Hare Stadium with a win. And in hindsight, if we had done just a little bit more, we would have. So I think South Carolina knows. They know Sean Elliott as well as anybody. He's a former South Carolina assistant coach, assistant head coach, and for the final 6 games, the year that Steve Spurrier stepped down, was their interim head coach. So they know, as they prepare for us, pretty much what to expect. Are there some pretty cool side stories? Sure. As well as we've run the football with Tucker Gregg, the other running back is Jamias Williams. He's originally out of Grayson High School, Grayson, Georgia. Started his collegiate career at South Carolina as a defensive back. And had a pretty good freshman season, but for whatever reason, decided to transfer to Georgia State. He arrives in Atlanta to play for Coach Elliott as a DB. Before you know it, they're giving him a shot to run the football. And right now, he and our other running back, Tucker Gregg, are preseason Doak Walker candidates. The Doak Walker Award goes to the top FBS running back in the country. It's an honor just to be nominated and to be included in that group. So we're solid at running back. We have a Furman University transfer at quarterback in Darren Granger, who assumed the starting role last year in week 2, but really in week 3 after the North Carolina ball game. He came into the game in the second half at North Carolina, ended up starting week 3, started the rest of the season, and was a big part of why Georgia State, after getting off to a tough start last year, won 7 of their last 8 ball games and ended up in the Camellia Bowl. Got a lot of quality receivers. We have a 7th-year tight end in Aubrey Payne, who I had the chance to talk to this morning. I think there's only 2 7-year college football players right now in the country, and Aubrey is one of them. And he had a great Camellia Bowl, and he had a really good bounce-back season last year. As far as the defensive side of the football, again, Georgia State's coming off one of the better record-setting seasons with regards to the numbers. 38 sacks, 92 tackles for loss, 21 forced turnovers. And most of the faces that you'll see on Saturday night in the starting lineup are guys that are returning and that have been in the program now for a number of years. The guys that pop out along the front defensive line, Thomas Gore, who really finished strong a year ago. The inside linebackers, Blake Carroll, who's one of the team captains, along with Jordan Venzial. has really gone strong. They're what I call our Batman and Robin on the inside. Jameel Muhammad, a fantastic outside linebacker with 6 sacks last year. He's another great story, guys, because he transferred to Georgia State from Vanderbilt, but he came in as a quarterback. And when it came dollars to donuts, when it came out that he really wasn't going to be able to compete for the starting job at quarterback, they moved him to the defensive side of the football, first to an inside linebacker, then to an outside rush guy. And he's been fantastic. He may, depending on how he plays this coming year, put himself in position to at least have an opportunity to play at the next level. And then when you look at our DBs and our safeties, a lot of experience at the corners. Quavian White and Bryce Brown, the hit stick Antavius Lane, and one of the safeties already the all-time leader in interceptions in Georgia State history with 9, 5 of those coming last year. So again, when you look on both sides of the ball, and I'm not saying we're going to go into South Carolina and dominate, because we're not. What always happens when an FBS group of 5 plays an FBS Power 5, the first thing you got to look at, especially along the offensive and the defensive lines, size and speed and skill. The guys in South Carolina recruits, they recruit them to compete at the SEC level week in and week out. Our guys are recruiting to compete and win the Sun Belt Conference. That's not to say that some of our guys couldn't play in the SEC. As a matter of fact, one of the South Carolina Gamecock outside linebackers, Gordon Strachan, he transferred to South Carolina from Georgia State after having a fantastic 2 years ago. So you see it both ways. And Georgia State's got the experience to go to play South Carolina, hopefully a fantastic competitive game. Am I going to definitely predict a win? No, but I think we're going to go in there and go toe-to-toe with them and put ourselves in position to leave Williams-Brice Saturday night with a win.
All right. Hey, I like it. And I can already tell you are locked and loaded with everything from your numbers to your stories. And I only wish I could always be that prepared on Friday nights. I know you've got a full-time job, but at least it's like along the same lines. I teach full-time, everything else full-time, and by the time Friday night comes, I'm like, I got like 8 pages of like notes that I'm trying to follow and do the best I can. But anyway, I can already tell that Dave Cohen is ready to bring the message of Georgia State Panther football to everyone worldwide on Saturday night. So I'm looking forward to that. Hey, before we let you go, Dave.
Always lots of notes.
Oh, yeah.
Pages and pages of them.
Yep. I can remember my first broadcasting class back at the University of South Carolina. And I should know this. But the man that did play-by-play then, he showed us his spotting board. And it, the middle of it was nice and neat, printed, and the outside, the middle of it was nothing but scribble scrabble. And that's pretty much the way mine look now. So I'm like, okay, so I've learned something. So
I do the same thing.
Yep. So, hey, before we let you go, Dave, Jabari, we'll make sure everybody knows who's watching now, like I said earlier. As soon as we're through here, don't leave Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live. The Sun Belt or the Georgia State preview show Dave Cohen recorded with head coach Sean Elliott and some other folks will be running live right here on this Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube Facebook Live. And we are also going to run again a couple of times between now and Saturday night. So look out for that. But, hey, Dave, thanks for joining us so much. Jabari, go ahead and give your message to the alumni for the Georgia State Panther Nation.
Tell everybody to hold on. It's going to be an exciting season every year. Since a few years ago, we went down to Tennessee, got a win. Last year, it was Auburn. They snuck away. They snuck away with one. Jump on the train, the Georgia State train. Jump on now because it's an exciting run. We're in a great conference. We're going to continue to dominate Georgia Southern across the board in all sports. And that's right. I said it. It's barely a rivalry. like the people at Southern say, oh, it's not a rivalry. True.
It's
you
a
gotta
rivalry.
win sometimes. You gotta win sometimes for it to be a rivalry.
I like it.
And they don't win much.
I like it. Dave Cohen, thanks for joining us on Laugh with you.
I appreciate it. Appreciate everything you guys are doing. Same with you, Jabari, for all the alumni in the Savannah metro area. Appreciate it. And Charlie, you and Freddie, appreciate your partnership.
All right, again, thanks for joining us, Dave and Jabari. Stay with us, folks, because we will rock and roll the preview show with Dave Cohen and head coach Sean Elliott recorded just a few weeks ago in Sunbelt. So consider this your Georgia State preview.
Fake the handoff. A lot of green grass. Granger 30, 25, 20.
While that's loading, remember, 7 o'clock Saturday night on ESPN.
4-yard touchdown run by the
And here we go. Sunbelt show with Georgia State Athletics. Dave Cohen.
Georgia State football is getting ready for season number 13. The Panthers open the 2022 season on the road in Columbia, South Carolina, as they face the SEC's Gamecocks, followed by a Week 2 home opener against the ACC's North Carolina Tar Heels. It's time now to preview the season as the Georgia State Radio Network microphones come to you from Sunbelt Conference Media Day at the Sheraton Hotel in downtown New Orleans, Louisiana. For the next hour, the voice of the Panthers, Dave Cohen, talks with head coach Sean Elliott, players Blake Carroll and Malik Sumter, as well as the commissioner of the Sunbelt Conference, Keith Gill. Now from New Orleans, here's Dave Cohen.
Well, coming off a record-setting 8-win season in 2021, including a win at the Camellia Bowl in Montgomery on Christmas Day, Georgia State football readies for its 13th season, which opens Saturday night, September 3rd in Columbia, South Carolina. The Panthers will face the Gamecocks out of the SEC. It may be the most challenging schedule the Panther program has faced. North Carolina will visit Center Park Stadium Week 2. Under head coach Sean Elliott, the Panthers return double-digit starters, including starting quarterback Darren Granger. Granger passed for over 1,700 yards and 19 touchdowns last year. Behind a still experienced offensive line, the ground attack features what was the 8th-ranked run duo in FBS football, Tucker Gregg and Jamias Williams. Combined, those two rushed for over 1,800 yards and 18 touchdowns. Defensively, Georgia State had a record-setting 2021 season as well. 38 sacks, 92 tackles for loss, and 11 interceptions, 5 of those by Antavius Lane. Thomas Gore returns up front with Jeffrey Clark. They, along with leading tacklers Jordan Venzial and Blake Carroll, who anchor the middle at inside linebacker. And again, Antavius Lane back to patrol at safety following a breakout 82-tackle, 5-interception season a year ago. Things on the rise for Georgia State football heading into their 13th season.
After 8 victories last season, including the Camellia Bowl, a new season of Georgia State football is almost here.
Granger 30, 25, 20, 10, 5, touchdown Darren Granger and the Georgia State Panthers.
The Panthers open the 2022 season on the road in Columbia versus the Gamecocks, followed by a Week 2 home opener against the North Carolina Tar Heels. Catch all of the action here on your home of Georgia State University Athletics, Album 88.
Back here at Sunbelt Conference Media Day in New Orleans, Georgia State getting ready for South Carolina, September 3 in Columbia. And joined right now by Georgia State's head football coach, Sean Elliott. Always good to see you, good to talk to you, and always fun to be in New Orleans for Media Day. It's kind of the official, unofficial start of football.
It's media days are always fun. You get to come down here. You see players on other teams, other coaches. It's a relaxing event. Everybody's in pretty good spirits, and what you really don't understand is what's fixing to happen. After this media day, it's on. The football season's here. Fall camp's coming, and getting ready for that season.
You guys open up, August 5?
Yeah, it's our first practice.
So for Georgia State coming off an 8-win season, it's been a pretty pleasurable off season, I would assume, for you. A lot of momentum coming out of the Camellia Bowl and everything that this team, and the great thing about it is you got so many guys that are back from a year ago.
Yeah, anytime you win your last game, it makes for a pretty good off season. And, we were fortunate enough to go out there and win a few games a year ago, and we finished up pretty well on Christmas Day. So our season has been, pretty good. Pretty good. We got a good, strong veteran group coming back. A lot of returning starters, a lot of guys that haven't played that will step in new roles this year. So it's going to be one to watch.
Again, not to talk so much about a year ago, but what a season a year ago. Yeah. I remember you and I talking early on about the challenging schedule, and, we got off to 1-4. And at that point, who knows what direction we're going.
And at that point, you're thinking, God, this season's going to be a bust. I know exactly what you're thinking. Probably what everybody else in the country was thinking, or every other Georgia State fan thinking, we need to fire Coach Elliott and all that other stuff. But, when you face a difficult schedule just like we did a year ago, you got to understand what's happening, and you got to still understand that you got a good football team. Even despite the losses, you still have a conference slate ahead of you. So keep your heads up, and let's go out and play Georgia State football and see if we can get a few wins in.
Coach, who makes these schedules?
What are you trying to do? Give me fire?
Never.
Oh, yeah. It's a combination of Doug Justice and Charlie Cobb and myself. I get a little bit of say into it, but it's a tough non-conference slate. We understand that. South Carolina, North Carolina out the bat, and Charlotte, and then Army, and then we open up right there on a Thursday night with Coastal Carolina. So our first part of the season is going to be an exciting one.
But you look at certain bellwether marks along the way. I guess we can say it now. We should have left Auburn with a W. You go back to 2019, the win against Tennessee. You can really see how this team has improved, not just within the Sun Belt Conference, but on a national level, the way we've been able to compete, the way this team's been able to compete against SEC caliber opponents.
Yeah, I won't sit there and tell you we should have beaten Auburn. We had an opportunity to win the game and didn't make the plays necessary. Unfortunate, because we had on that day a better team than those guys. But it didn't pan out that way. And it does say something to where our football program is and how we're competing against the Tennessees and the Auburns. And, you got a South Carolina team there on September 3rd that we got to go play and play well against and see if we might pull out another SEC victory. And then you got North Carolina, which comes to our place at 12 o'clock the following week. Those are opportunities for us. I always say if you don't play them, you can't beat them. So we're going to go out here and we're going to play them and see if we can beat them.
I know you've been doing some media during the offseason in South Carolina. Look, you came to Georgia State from the University of South Carolina. You're from the state of South Carolina. This is kind of cool for you to take your Georgia State team, as good as it is right now, back to your home state and the school that you came from before you came here with us.
Yeah, a lot of people are making a big deal out of it. And some seem to think, oh, you really want this one really bad. Like I was scorned, or they treated me really poorly at South Carolina. University of South Carolina was a great experience. Very, very fortunate. We did amazing things there. During my time, I was the interim head coach. I was the head coach of an SEC football team. And for whatever reason, it didn't work out. And I left to become the head coach at Georgia State, which is unbelievable. Let me be honest with you. And I'm glad it worked out the way it did. It's going to be, I guess, exciting for me to go back to the University of South Carolina just because I won so many ball games in that stadium. I won a state championship in that stadium. My brother graduated from the University of South Carolina. My two nieces graduated, or my one niece graduated from the University of South Carolina. So, that's the reasons. I'm going to have a lot of familiar faces right there. And it's the SEC, and that stadium's going to be loud and rocking.
Listen, you've played, you've coached. Have you thought about, when you're alone with your thoughts, what's going to be going through your head when you come out of whatever tunnel it is Georgia State comes out of into Williams-Brice on a Saturday night?
Yeah, it's about like every other game that I come out into. I'm usually mad and furious and wanting to hurt something.
Which you almost do, which, by the way, I told you, one of my favorite pre-game rituals that you do is when you run up and down the lines as the guys are kind of stretching, and you get into little pushing and shoving matches. Yeah. Where did that start? That's the coolest thing.
That started, the handshake started when I became the head coach. Well, actually, when I went to South Carolina. I always had it didn't matter if they were DBs, kickers, or whatnot. I had a relationship with everybody on the team. So during pregame, I would just always go touch everybody's hand, just tell them good luck and let's get after this team or whoever we were playing. But the fighting and pushing and all that stuff started at Appalachian State. We'd gotten beaten by Western Carolina. I think we'd had like a 24-game win streak, and they beat us one year. And so the very next year, we played them. And I came out, it was at home, and we kind of, you get in a huddle and you break it down. And next thing I know, I just started punching guys in the face. And it kind of went on from there.
Kind of snowballed from there. But it's really I watch you through the binoculars go up and down the line. Some guys, you just tap on the helmet, but other guys have a little bit more to push back about.
Yeah, at App State, it got really, it was really physical. I separated some shoulders, and they were real fights. Real fights. We played Wofford. This is a funny story. We played Wofford on Halloween night in 2008, okay? They had beaten us the year before. We won the national championship, but they beat us after we had beaten Michigan in a couple of weeks. And we walked out in the pregame, and our offensive line coach that we have at Georgia State now, John Holt, he was my quote-unquote GA. I had a bat, and he had a chain. And I said, we're going to wear these boys out tonight. And so when the O-line, the team broke it down, and they came running, he's swinging I got the bat, and it was a bloodlet, and I think we won 77-7 that night.
Well, again, coming off a school record 8 wins, I think you've told me on more than one occasion it starts up front. And Shamarius Gilmore, knock on wood, is going to stick with the Seattle Seahawks, but he's the only starter that we lose.
Yeah, up front, yes. I think we got a plan it's going to be hard to replace a guy with so much experience. But we do have quality guys that are stepping in that role. A lot of new faces that's behind those guys that have started for so long are just trying to break in there. And then it's so funny because that one spot is opening up, and you got all those guys say, Coach, I want to play left guard. I want to play left guard. I want to play left guard. It creates great competition, but it gives us the opportunity to move some pieces around up front to give us the best available guys to go and man that one spot.
You know him better than I do because you coached, I believe, every game that he played. But I'm so happy for Shamarius getting the opportunity out in Seattle. I saw him when he was back a few weeks ago. He was out back working out at the stadium before he has to go back.
He should save that money. You get back to your roots and you stay in that weight room. You save all that money and then you head out there for camp. A lot of these guys, they go and get that trainer and they get that personal training facility and they spend all that money before they even make any money. But it's good to see him back. He's strong, he's physical, and hopefully he's going to make it out there.
Just throw out some names. Who's in the running competition-wise? And I know we haven't started fall practice yet, but who are some of the names you're looking at that can make an impact up front in his spot?
Avery Reese is the guy that we man right there, John Brown. We got another guy that transferred in, Bryson Broadway from Eastern Illinois, and Bryson gives us the ability to do some different things. He can play tackle, but he can also inside. So it may be a thing there. You can maybe move him to tackle and then bring Big Glover down inside to push some people around in the middle, along with Malik and Pat. So, a lot of combinations that we can look at, a lot of younger guys that we still have to look at. But we get 25 practices before we really make the determining decision.
Talking to head coach Sean Elliott, Georgia State football here in New Orleans, Sun Belt Conference Media Day. Darren Granger takes over at quarterback in Chapel Hill. And the rest of kind of Panther history. He holds on to the job for the rest of the season. What a fantastic, we'll say, job by him for what he was when he first got to Georgia State and playing behind the starter at that point, taking over, and then running with it all the way through Montgomery on Christmas Day.
Yeah, I know. Back in the –
And those are tough decisions to make.
Those are very tough decisions. You go and you start out the way we did. You bench your starting quarterback, and we end up doing the same thing with our starting running back too, all conference caliber type players. And I'm sure everybody wearing that logo right there was saying, what's he doing? He has no idea what he's doing. But it all worked out. Kind of a funny story again is we're sitting there last spring, and we have the Panther Awards, Golden Panther Awards, and we're talking about MVP, and we got a lot of guys that are capable to be that MVP. And I just looked at them guys and said, let me tell you one thing. As soon as we installed Darren Granger, we won 7 of our last 8. There's no question who our MVP is. It was him.
Yeah.
because our team rallied around him. He was such a good quarterback to play for, and that's something to be said. When you want to play for that guy that's the signal caller, it makes it a good situation.
Well, we said there's some good stories on this team. The first time I laid eyes on Darren Granger, he was in a Furman uniform, giving us a run for our money at Center Park Stadium. Shortly thereafter, at the end of the season, he ends up transferring to Georgia State. You think back to where he was that night and where he is today, he's become a lot better player, learned the game, learned the offense, learned the Georgia State way in a relatively short amount of time.
Yeah, he's done a fantastic job in getting himself prepared, both in I call it the classroom, in the meeting room, and then on the playing field. He's a gifted runner. He's a gifted athlete, and he's utilized all that to make him a better player.
And being in that situation, he's also got to embrace the leadership role, which goes with that position.
Well, everyone says the quarterback's got to be the leader. We have tremendous leadership. I mean, the guy that handles the ball more than anybody, our starting center, Malik Sumter. I mean, there's leadership. What he has to do, what Darren has to do, he has to kind of keep his mindset, know that his successes aren't truly what he's after, knowing that he wants to be a team guy to win, to give us every opportunity to go win, and have that team rally around him to make us successful. I think they like playing for him. I think when you speak with him, he has I call it happy-go-lucky. He's always smiling. His highs are never too big or high, and his lows are never too low. And I think that's a calming effect for our football team, so they don't get overwhelmed by, God, he's down, so certainly our team's down, or he's way up here. He thinks he's so good that he's got some issues there. But it's great to watch him play.
We were talking about the offensive line a minute ago. You just mentioned Malik. He's going to be a guest on an upcoming Panther Insider podcast. Remington Trophy Award candidate, Outland Trophy Award candidate. Fantastic individual.
He is. He's done a marvelous job. I remember sitting in his living room recruiting him, back when you actually recruited players still.
What is recruiting?
We still do that here at Georgia State. Sitting back in his home, he was a guy that played O-line and D-line for a state championship football team out of South Carolina, out of Dutch Fork High School. And I remember saying that, he wasn't the greatest athlete. He didn't, I wouldn't say he excelled at anything, but man, everything he did was almost perfect. And he did it the right way. And I remember his head coach telling me, you need this guy. You need him. And we walked in there and I said, I want you to play for us. I want you to, I told everyone I wanted to build it from inside out, the offense and the defensive lines, meaning and our football team. And so we did that. And Malik's never looked back. I think this is going to be his fifth year starting. That's a lot of starts for a center.
Yeah, he has seen, like Shamarius did, he's seen a lot of Georgia State football, going all the way back over to 188 under the tent where the weight room was at the time, to the building, to where it is now at the stadium. It's really come a long way. Two other good stories. And I remember the very first interview we did at the Student Center on the day you were hired. You told me emphatically we're going to run the football. I know I've told you this before, but two great stories. Tucker Gregg out of Chatsworth comes in as a walk-on. It's probably 8th or 9th in the depth chart at one point. Jemias Williams transfers from South Carolina, and he's a DB. And now, between the two of them, 18 touchdowns a year ago, and 8th in rushing in FBS football between the two of them.
Yeah, first of all, Tucker is an amazing story, a guy that, he recruited himself to us, which is amazing to think. But he was always a guy, when he always sent us a message, he'd always have a film, that was going on. And he was such a tremendous worker. I mean, we wanted the guy on our football team. I didn't know Tucker was going to turn out to be a great running back like he is. But he has really worked himself into being a great leader, a great man for us. Unbelievable athlete, unbelievable student. He is everything that college football needs to be about. We talk about all this other junk these days in college football. These are the stories that need to be told. These are the success stories that need to be shared out there because, 90% of the guys playing high school football are the Tucker Greggs out there that want to be that guy, that don't get the opportunity to go on scholarship. and they need to hear about, walking on and achieving everything that you knew you could achieve. And then Jam is, Jam goes to the University of South Carolina, plays as a true freshman at DB, ends up transferring to us at Georgia State. And I just thought Jam was an electric athlete. When you go back and look at his high school film, we needed a guy like that with the ball in his hand. I think he was top 10 in the country in yards per carry at 6.7 yards per carry a year ago. So we got to get him some more carries. But those are two tremendous athletes and tremendous workers. When you see what they put into it outside of our facility, you're amazed. And I think there's going to be big years, or this year's going to be a big year for both those guys. I just wish we had two balls. But we'll run the triple and get them in play.
I always think another sign at how well an offense is running and how well the program is performing and improving is when you lose coaches.
Yes.
And you've lost two offensive coordinators in a short amount of time. And Trent McKnight, who's been around the program since you got here, is your new offensive coordinator, which is great. But Brad Glenn and Josh have moved on, one to Virginia Tech, one to Louisville. I know it's tough to see guys go, but it's kind of a sign of how well the program's performing.
Yeah, anytime you got an assistant coach and has the opportunity. I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, you want to coach at the highest level. I mean, these players want to coach at the highest level, the Power 5 level. I mean, God, everybody would like to go and be coaching at Alabama, and all that stuff. Well, I've had a taste of it. Not everybody, I would say. But, yeah, they got an opportunity, and I say a life-changing opportunity because of the success that we've had. So moving forward, when those guys leave our football program and go take jobs like that, I'm thrilled to death for them. I wish them all the best, and those are two really good football coaches that we lost. I really don't. I get upset when they leave, but I don't.
Deep down, it's a good thing.
Yeah, there's other good coaches. Yeah. I know a lot of good coaches, and as long as they come in and work the right way, then we're going to be able to manage it and move on and still be successful.
We'll touch on a few other areas. Quickly, the receivers. We lost a couple of, going into the season a year ago, we lost, I guess, what we would consider our number one and number two receivers. What do we got coming back, and who are some of the young guys that are kind of climbing that depth chart?
Well, I mean, I think Thrash led us in receiving a year ago, and I think, Stretch Cradle. You talk about a breakout guy. Cradle this year, long, athletic, guy can run. Ball skills. I mean, he is a guy that can be a huge, huge playmaker for us on the edge. Robert Lewis, hands down, he may be the MVP of the offseason, Robert Lewis, as far as weights and work ethic and catching and just trying to make himself the very, very best. Honestly, it's every single day that noise is going off outside my office. It's Robert Lewis, and he's in the gym. He's in the weight room. He has transformed his body, his mind. That guy's going to have a breakout year. I mean, he is fast, probably the fastest football player we have on our team. So we look forward to those guys on the perimeter making a big-time statement this year.
And I got to ask you about Aubrey Payne, who's been here almost as long as I have. What is he? Is he the only 7-year guy in college football?
I think there's one older. I think there's an 8-year guy.
I was so happy when I heard he was coming back.
I call him Aubrey. My knees are in pain because he's played so long. No, Aubry's coming back. To man his role at the tight end position. It's funny to think how many touchdowns he catches, and just the ability to have an older veteran again. I mean, 7 years of playing college football. He's always been about the football team and about our program at Georgia State ever since he walked through the door as a walk-on for us. So we're thrilled to death to have him and just continue with, just doing things the right way. We got a lot of guys that are hanging around. We got a lot of super seniors that won't still be around our football program, and that's a really good sign.
Real quick to the defensive side, another great story is Jameel Muhammad, who transfers in from Vanderbilt to battle for quarterback, and by the time it's all said and done, he's one of your better players on the defensive side at the rush spot.
God. I mean, I can go on and on about these guys. Jameel came in here as a quarterback from Vanderbilt, didn't turn out the way he would have liked it. when I told him we were moving him to linebacker, you should have seen his look. But I explained it to him. I said, being a football coach is sometimes hard and sometimes easy. I said, Jamil, you have to trust me in making this move, or me asking you to make this move. You have to know that I'm looking out for the best interests of yourself and your future. And I just explained to him why, because of how physical he was, how strong he was, the ability to, he just has that ability to be a defensive player. He loved contact, playing quarterback. I don't know any quarterback that loves contact, but every time we went live, or every time we went into a scrimmage, he would say, Let me run the ball live. I want them to tackle me. I was like, all right, we're moving you to defense. And then here he is. He burst onto the scene a year ago. He not buys into it, but he is really taken to a liking that linebacker role, that outside linebacker role, and rushing the quarterback and play defense. He's another guy. I mean, you can't keep him out of the weight room. You can't keep him from doing the right things. And, I just, as a football coach, you want to talk about guys like him. I mean, every time you look at a position group, there's another guy that's doing it just like him. I mean, there were guys in our weight room. I typically go in there early and work out. And, there's a group during the offseason. They would all be in there, and there'd be like 18, 20 guys. And I'm not talking at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm talking 6 o'clock in the morning. They're all in there stretching and doing doing more than what was expected. And it just continued to grow and grow and grow, and we've got a number of those guys.
Well, he was a big part of what was a record-setting performance by the defense a year ago. 38 sacks combined, 92 tackles for loss, 11 interceptions, 5 of those by Antavius Lane. The numbers are impressive. Thomas Gore, Jeffrey Clark, 2 of the guys that are up front. Defense is solid, front, middle, and the guys in the backfield.
This is Coach Clark. Coach Clark, the head coach at Appalachian State. You want to get on the podcast? Get over here. Let's go. Came up. Hey, we got a good conference right here when the head coach at App State can come give me a little tickle off the backside of my back here. We've got a really solid defense. Coach Fuqua mans our defensive coordinator position. He's been with us now every year since we walked through the door.
Yeah, he's great.
And does a fantastic job, just the knowledge that he brings to our group. You mentioned Jeffrey Clark. Jeff's got an opportunity to be a big-time ball player. Jamil, Blake Carroll, Jordan Venzial. Those guys. You got Quay in the back end, Antavius Hitstick Lane. All he does is turn the ball over and deliver blows after blows. And all those guys defensively are just, they're back and hungry.
I call those middle guys, Blake and Jordan, kind of your Batman and Robin there in the middle.
Batman and Robin. Well, that's good. You have to ask him what I called him in practice a few times. I call him Snow and Flake.
Antavius Lane coming out of Florida. Again, last year, 82 tackles, 5 interceptions, already the all-time leader in interceptions at Georgia State. He's been a major impact player.
Major impact. From the day I watched his high school film, I think that year he had somewhere in the I want to say 9 or 10 turnovers his senior year. I think 8 went for touchdowns. Every time he was on the field, it was a turnover machine and scoring touchdowns. It has transitioned into our program like that. He does the exact same thing. It's no surprise every time he lines up that there's a turnover or a defensive touchdown getting ready to happen. I expect it. I'm just waiting for it.
And we're talking to Georgia State head football coach Sean Elliott here in New Orleans, Sun Belt Conference Media Day. How about the Sun Belt East? With 4 new teams in, we get 3 of them in the eastern side. Yeah. Marshall, Old Dominion, James Madison, Southern Miss goes to the west.
Yeah, I was hoping, we'd just all go to that one big, everybody play everybody type scenario and try to figure it out. But, adding those teams, you got Marshall, you got Old Dominion, you got James Madison. I believe James Madison's won 33 games in the last 3 years. And, playing for the national championship in FCS and winning it. They're talented. Marshall, everyone knows Marshall. Back in the day, that was our biggest rival at Appalachian State was the Thundering Herd in Marshall. Them old people up there would throw hot pennies on the backside of my neck when we used to play up there. So great respect for the Thundering Herd. And Old Dominion, the way they finished up last year, a new, younger program, kind of similar to ourselves, ready to step in and make the East just that much stronger. I particularly don't look at the West unless we're playing an opponent over there, so I really don't know what's going on over there. I'm sure it'll shake itself out, but if you're a college football fan, whether you're a college football fan of any of the teams in there, you're going to follow the Sun Belt because we have got some talented coaches, players, and football programs.
Well, Coach, I appreciate it. Great to be with you here in New Orleans at Sun Belt Media Day. Fall practice will start August 5, so I'll see you out there at Center Park. And then September 3 in Columbia, we'll get underway 13th season of Georgia State football.
That's right. 13th season, my 6th.
You've been a big part of it.
6 years, Dave.
I know.
It's been 6 years. Man, this day and age of college football, people don't make it 6 years.
I know. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I want to thank Georgia State's head football coach, Sean Elliott, joining us for a few minutes here at New Orleans. We're at the Sheraton Hotel Sun Belt Conference Football Media Day. And, again, we appreciate Coach Elliott's timing and Georgia State opening up September 3 at South Carolina. Coming up as we continue here on our Sun Belt Conference Georgia State football preview show as we head into the 13th season of Georgia State football here in 2022. We're going to talk to two all Sun Belt Conference preseason performers from the offensive side. Again, we were talking about both these guys, center Malik Sumter and inside linebacker Blake Carroll. And we'll talk to them coming up in just a moment.
After 8 victories last season, including the Camellia Bowl, a new season of Georgia State football is almost here.
Granger 30, 25, 20, 10, 5, touchdown Darren Granger and the Georgia State Panthers.
The Panthers opened the 2022 season on the road in Columbia versus the Gamecocks, followed by a Week 2 home opener against the North Carolina Tar Heels. Catch all of the action here on your home of Georgia State University Athletics, Album 88.
Dave Cohen back here in New Orleans, Sun Belt Conference Media Day from the Sheraton in downtown New Orleans, and joined right now by the commissioner of the Sun Belt Conference. We have had him as a guest on our Panther Insider podcast before, and that is Keith Gill. Commissioner, always great to connect with you. This case in person. It's great to be here in New Orleans, a fantastic event. It's gotten so big now. What used to be one day is now a 2-day event.
I know. I think that might be the best part, We get to talk Sun Belt football today and get to do it all over again tomorrow. So thanks for having me, though.
The last time we talked, Arkansas, Little Rock, UT Arlington were still in the league, and they're not in the league anymore. And now you've got Southern Miss going into the West. You got Marshall, Old Dominion, James Madison. A lot of change, not just in college football, because those dominoes have obviously reached us here at the Group of 5 in the Sun Belt Conference. But, boy, it has done wonders for the Sun Belt. And I'm kind of scared of the Sun Belt East.
Sun Belt East is Bill Connolly, said it's the best non-autonomy division in FBS. So it is going to be really hard, but that's going to be fun and compelling, and that's why we were trying to put all this together. And the best part is it's a regional kind of setup so that fans should be able to travel to games in a much easier way. Fans will be familiar with the teams that they're playing, and I think it's going to create a lot of exciting football. Headaches for coaches, excitement for fans.
What goes through your mind when you're sitting there, and for all I know, you have a little bit more of an ear to the ground, when Texas and Oklahoma make their move, and then all of a sudden, a couple of 3 weeks ago, we hear that Southern Cal and UCLA are leaving. I mean, sometimes those dominoes don't always affect us, but it is changing the landscape of the world that we live in here, and it does affect us really kind of at all levels.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think at the same time, you're also trying to look for opportunities, Are there going to trigger some things that give you an opportunity to get better and grow? Because that's what happened to us in the last time in the Texas-Oklahoma cycle. We determined that, hey, if we stay with 10 football schools, we're in a good place. We've got some teams playing really well right now and some good rivalries and some good teams. But I was like, if we can add some really quality programs, help our geography, kind of create a different mix, that's good too. And we were fortunate enough as we went through our evaluation to find 4 teams that really fit what we were trying to do.
Are you finding that there's what we'll call a lot more outside interest for teams? Instead of saying teams, we'll say schools, wanting to be a part of what is now the Sun Belt, more so than maybe in the past? Because you go back 10 years and it was kind of the other way.
Right. Yeah. No, certainly. If you go back to 2010, 11, 12, there was an exodus. And so that has changed. And we do get calls and inquiries, and people are really interested in being part of the league. And it's really a testament to what the schools have done, including Georgia State, in terms of the investments that were made and the quality. What Coach Elliott has done with the football program is amazing and outstanding. And so that has been a nice shift. It's nice to, not worry when you see, realignment, what's going to happen to us? And you really are looking at it, okay, realignment, are there ways we can get better? And that's a better position to be in than kind of looking over your shoulder.
As far as what you can say and how far you can go, are we in for more movement in college athletics?
I think we are in for some more movement, I think obviously people are waiting to see what the Pac-12 decides to do and what those triggers are. But I think that's certainly going to have a trickle-down effect that's not going to be as robust maybe as it was last summer, but certainly going to be impactful to some conferences.
Well, we're talking to the Sun Belt Conference Commissioner Keith Gill here in our Georgia State football preview show from Sun Belt Football Media Day here in New Orleans. You played, so you've walked the walk and you've talked the talk. You played at Duke.
Yeah.
Can you go back and think about what being a college athlete in today's world would have been like back in the day when you were playing? And I'm not saying you played 50 years ago. It's been relatively recent.
Right.
Name, image, likeness, everything going on that college athletes are getting access to now that they've not had access to as recently as when you played.
Yeah, I just think even social media, like at the end of the day, like when we lived our lives kind of in obscurity, and so if people were mad about how we played or had some bad things to say about us, we never heard or never knew. Now people know that all the time because of Twitter and Facebook. So I think that there's we were anonymous, more so, and now they're not, and I think that would be hard for me, certainly as a student athlete, and I think that's hard for our current students to manage. I think that it's so competitive now in a way that at the end of the day, I just wanted to play football and go to school, and now you want to. Make enough money doing this on TikTok, and you want to do this, and you want to, and so I just think that you're pulled in a lot more different ways. I was like playing cards in my dorm room in my spare time. I wasn't trying to make money on TikTok. So I do think the environment has changed substantially. I don't know that I would be a great student athlete like in today's environment. I mean, I like my privacy a little more than I think our current student athletes get to have.
Well, I think I'm a little older than you, but I think we grew up in what I call television, radio, newspapers, magazines.
Right.
And that was pretty much it.
Yes.
If you wanted to know something about it, you waited till the paper came out the next day, or you listened to the radio or watched TV.
Totally.
And even in those, you didn't have the vast amount of channels that you have today.
Right. When I was super young, think about it, the news just came on once a day, and you would sit down at 6:30 with your parents, watch the news, and it'd be over.
Yeah.
There's no 24-hour news channels and those kind of things. And so, and some of that I actually think might have been better, because I think, we're headed down a road to some craziness right now that I think some of that stuff spawned. So it is much different. And I think that the pressures that are on today's student athletes are immense. And I think that's why you see some of the mental health kind of issues that we're all trying to manage and help is because, trying to support people in what is a really, really tough environment, tough society is difficult, for them to manage, particularly, at those ages with those experiences.
Well, listen, congratulations on a new contract that's going to keep you with the Sun Belt through
2030. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is great news.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited about it. I love the Sun Belt. I love being here. I'm honored to be the commissioner. So, that the presidents, and chancellors felt enough to kind of want to keep me around. It makes me feel great. So I'm super stoked. I'm really, really jazzed and really can't wait for the future. I think our best days ahead. We're in a good spot right now, but, we've got better days ahead.
Me personally, selfishly, I like things that are consistent and consistency. And the fact that you're going to be here through 2030, I think, does nothing but bode well for the Sun Belt Conference. And like you said, the direction that it's headed and where it's come from since you got here 3-4 years ago.
I appreciate you saying that. I do think having some consistency will be helpful, and kind of staying on the same track and kind of trying to move forward. So I agree with you. I think, in these kind of environments and jobs, trying to have consistent leadership can have dividends, certainly.
Just a couple of quick things. You mentioned in your State of the Sun Belt address earlier today with regards to bowl games. Well, now we've gone from 12 schools, 10 football playing schools, to 14 playing football schools and 5 bowls. So obviously, you know, you're smarter than me. You do that math. We got to add some bowl games here in the Sun Belt. And you said we got one on the horizon, but you're not ready to announce it yet.
Yeah, we do. So we think it'll be ready to be activated for this postseason in 2022 football season. So we're really excited about that, having a 6th bowl. And our goal ultimately is to get to 7. You know, try to have 50%. You know, and so you know that 7th bowl will take some work. But once we get the 6th one all lined up and ready to go, then we'll immediately start working on the 7th. So.
And lastly, you probably get the question a lot more than I do if I can touch on basketball for just a second. Now we're a 14-team league and a one-bid league.
Right.
And it's tough in this environment of college athletics, going back to what we talked about, you know, at the beginning of this conversation with Power 5, Group of 5, back and forth. It's how tough is it to get that 2nd or 3rd automatic bid at the Sun Belt?
Yeah, it's really tough. And right now, you know, it's almost impossible for us just based on where we are. You know, we didn't have any top 100 RPI teams, men's or women's basketball last year.
Right.
And if you're not in the top really like 50, you're not going to get considered, let alone we didn't even have any in the top 100. So we've got some work to do. We should be better, and we're going to sit down this year. We've got a couple of committees lined up that are going to look at men's basketball, look at women's basketball. What kinds of things should we be doing in those sports so that we can be better? You know, we're already looking at maybe doing a media day this year for men's and women's basketball. We've not done that in the past. Try to, you know, create, you know, more exposure for those sports. So we're going to take a deep dive into those sports so that we can be better. Because we want to be good at everything, you know, and we're going to have one of the best men's soccer conferences in the country. Why can't we have one of the best men's basketball or women's basketball conferences in the country? So we've got some work to do in basketball, and we're going to really start kind of trying to get after that this year and hopefully have some recommendations, you know, in the spring that we can go ahead and start implementing.
Well, listen, I appreciate it. I know we've got limited time, but it's always great to connect with you. You've been with me on the podcast before. Hopefully we'll do it again, and looking forward to a fantastic football season here in 2022. It's kind of funny. Again, you were a player. The seasons the off seasons seem to get shorter and shorter every year. I feel like I just got back from the Camellia Bowl.
Yeah, especially this one. I mean, I feel like this summer has flown by. I mean, it's almost August. I can't believe it. So, no, but it's great to be with you, Dave. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to seeing you when I'm in Atlanta for a Georgia State football game.
All right, you'll be on with us at halftime. I want to thank the commissioner of the Sun Belt Conference, Keith Gill, joining us here in our Georgia State football preview from Sun Belt Media Day here in New Orleans.
After 8 victories last season, including the Camellia Bowl, a new season of Georgia State football is almost here.
Granger, 30, 25, 20, 10, 5, touchdown Darren Granger and the Georgia State Panthers.
The Panthers opened the 2022 season on the road in Columbia versus the Gamecocks, followed by a Week 2 home opener against the North Carolina Tar Heels. Catch all of the action here on your home of Georgia State University Athletics, Album 88.
Veteran center Malik Sumter joins us right now in our Georgia State football preview here from Sunbelt Media Day. Remington Trophy Award selection as far as the candidates for this year, and also the Outland Trophy. Congratulations. The experts taking notice of your talents at Georgia State. Congrats.
Appreciate it. Definitely a great honor, and still got to go play because, you know, it's good, though. They're finally recognizing athletes at Georgia State, though.
Well, you're also preseason All-Sunbelt Conference right next to this gentleman here who we're going to talk to in a minute, Blake Carroll, and, of course, a lot to build on. You and I talked about this in the Panther Insider podcast, coming off a record 8-win season, winning the Camellia Bowl, a successful offseason. I know you guys are always getting ready. Just talk a little bit about all the work that goes on in the offseason as you get ready for August 5, which is going to be the first day of camp, and then before you know it, I'll be bothering you about September 3 and the opener at South Carolina.
I know I was telling you in the past, this is probably our best all-season since I've been here, that I think as far as the work ethic, leadership-wise. We're not trying to find leaders. We're not harping on who can and who can't say, you know, the floor is open. You feel like you need to say something, you say it. And like I said, from the leadership standpoint, from the work ethic, even from the weight room in the summer, everybody's been coming along great. And like you said, we had a good season last year, and we had to build upon that season this year. And even as far as the all-conference, we had a couple guys on that. But people don't understand, though, like, Georgia State has so much talent right now. Like, people who you don't even know right now. Like I know Jamil, he's probably not on nothing right now, but he could be a first team guy when it's all said and done this season.
Jamil Muhammad.
Yep. And then so it's a lot of guys like that.
One notable absence in a good way from the offensive line, and that is your good buddy Shamarius Gilmore, who's out in Seattle trying to make the Seahawks roster. He lined up, for the last however many years just to your left. That's a big hole to fill right there.
Yeah, that's my guys. It's going to be different, but I'm confident in the guys. And the young guys, it's their turn now, and as far as, we can shift around the guys that already been there along the whole line. So that's what camp is for, to find out who our guys going to be at the first day, and I'm confident the coaches will do a good job with that.
Again, the often overused word chemistry, and we were talking on the podcast, no other place on the football field does it really come into play quite like it does amongst the 5 or 6 of you, depending upon the situation on that O-line.
Yeah, like I said, the running back can go the wrong way, the quarterback can still pull it and get some yards. But the moment one person messes up on the O-line, the whole play is done. When one person messes up, it's a sack as far as pass. And in the run game, if you miss a block, it's a tackle for loss. So there's no room for error, but I feel like we got the guys to handle that this year.
So you're going into how many years now in Panther Blue?
This is my 6th year.
So you took the extra super senior year,
yep.
Which is I'm glad you made that decision, obviously, because that means you're back this year. But how cool is that? That we talk about Aubrey Payne playing in his 7th year. Yeah. You're right behind him.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Georgia State was my only FBS offer, so and then the only thing I haven't really done here is the Sun Belt Championship. So I think a way that I can say thank you to Georgia State is why not come back and try to get that first Sun Belt championship. We first Power 5 win, first top 25 team win, first bowl win. This goes on and on, but like the one main thing I would like to accomplish before I leave will be a Sun Belt championship. And I feel like our chances could be pretty good this year to get that one.
Well, you get a couple of challenging games right out of the gate. You're going to go back to your home state for the opener at South Carolina, and then come back to Atlanta for the North Carolina Tar Heels week 2. You get a big opportunity to make a big statement right out of the gate this year.
Yeah, like you said, opportunity. Georgia State got a lot of guys that were slept on in high school, and we love when we have that opportunity to play the teams that we wanted to play for in high school and things like that. And so, like I said, it's just an opportunity. If you look back in our history, since Coach Elliott's been here, we've been doing pretty good against the Power 5 team. So we don't fear anybody based on the name or division, whatever we want to call it. They put on the pad the same way we do. So we're excited.
Well, Malik, appreciate it. Congrats on being in the preseason watch for the Remington Trophy and the Outland Trophy. Let's bring both, if not one of them, back to Atlanta. That would be fantastic.
Sir, appreciate it.
All right, he's going to hand the headsets here at the Sheraton in New Orleans to Blake Carroll as we talk a little Georgia State defense. Blake, preseason All-Sun Belt Conference at that inside linebacker spot. And having a good time in New Orleans?
Oh, yeah. I like the city. It's different than Atlanta for sure. So anywhere. I've never been to New Orleans. Actually, I have, but it was before Katrina. So
right.
It's been a long, long time. So I'm just glad to be here.
Well, let's talk about the defense for a few minutes here. Certainly had a great year a year ago combined, and I've thrown these numbers out a couple of times during the hour. 38 sacks, 92 tackles for loss, 11 interceptions. You had 89 tackles, 11.5 for loss, and almost 6 sacks. You and Jordan Venzial in that middle there, I call you guys Batman and Robin, kind of holding the fort down. And the chemistry is good right now on all 3 phases.
Oh, yeah, I see that. For one, me and Jordan, we work off of each other. We've known each other for a long time. I actually knew him in high school because, we both played in high school. So we both played in Georgia in high school. So, our defense, I'm excited for what we're going to do this fall. We have 7 of our 11 starters coming back. But we have everybody has experience because, the past 2 years we had 7 starters, 8 starters coming back. So, everybody has played. We have a lot of depth this year, and I'm just excited about what we're going to do.
What was the difference a year ago with regards to sacks, tackles for loss? I mean, is it one of those things everybody was just on the same page and You know, we talked to Malik about the offensive line chemistry. We'll talk a little bit about chemistry on the defensive side and how that works.
Well, chemistry, everybody is on one accord for sure. You know, we knew what our goals were last year. Well, we knew what we did last year, and we knew what our goals were this year. So, you know, we wanted to not only just get to those goals, we wanted to exceed through them. And we know that as a defense, we hang our hat on being physical. You know, we're physical on all three levels: the D-line, the linebackers, even the DBs. We want everybody to be physical, and we hang our hat on being the toughest team. We're gonna out tough any team we play.
Again, talking to Blake Carroll, was talking to you guys on the Panther Insider podcast about Jameel Muhammad. He had 6 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, and he's a really good story because of the way he came in and where he is right now, and he's really fit in really with your unit.
Yeah, that's my boy. Yeah, Jameel, he came in when he came in as a quarterback, and when he switched to defense, it wasn't any complaining. You know, he wasn't angry about it. He instantly went straight to work, and you know he knew what he had to do. He was humble about it. He didn't go about it, you know, I was a quarterback, you know, so I need to, you know, he was humble about it. Mm-hmm. He came in right away. He came straight to work. He didn't complain, and that's what I appreciate about him. And he's going to make plays for us this year for sure.
Certainly right in front of you, Thomas Gore, 45 tackles, almost 10 for loss. Jeffrey Clark. I mean, the defensive line is solid again going into this year.
Yep, we have a lot of depth up there. The young guys that didn't get to play a couple prior years, you know, they're fresh. They're ready for this year. They all excited. They know the goals that we have to. You know, our D-line holds their heads on the amount of sacks that we get. So, you know, we all on the same page. We all on the same page.
Obviously, the answer to this is yes, as it was for Malik. But 2 tough games right out, 2 challenging games right out of the gate this year.
Yep, we're looking forward to it. Definitely.
But you guys like those games.
Yeah, we live for those games. Actually, you know, we actually prefer those type of games, to be in those scenarios where our back is against the wall, because that's all we ever know. That's all we ever knew was our back against the wall. So, you know, that's all we do. Coach Elliott preaches that we fight, and that's all we know. We're gonna fight. We don't care who we play against.
It is kind of true that the defense takes on the personality of its head coach.
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely
and
agree.
Coach Fuqua.
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely agree. I would definitely say Elliott and Fuqua is the reason why we are fighters like the way we are.
All right, well, I appreciate it, and we'll see you out at fall practice. And, again, September 3, you'll be here before you know it.
Yes, sir. We'll be there.
All right, I want to thank Blake Carroll joining us, final guest here on our Georgia State Sun Belt Conference Media Day preview show. I want to thank all of our guests today joining us here in New Orleans, head coach Sean Elliott, Blake, Malik Sumter, and Sun Belt Conference Commissioner Keith Gill. I want to thank our studio producer Jeff Walker and our engineer Robert LaFour. So for all of those folks and everyone here in New Orleans, Dave Cohen saying good night from Sun Belt Conference Media Day in New Orleans. This has been a production of the Georgia State Football Radio Network.
You've been listening to coverage of Sun Belt Conference Media Day from the Sheraton Hotel in New Orleans, Louisiana. The Panthers open the season Saturday, September 3rd in Columbia, South Carolina, when they face the Gamecocks at Williams-Brice Stadium. Listen for live coverage of Georgia State football all season here on the 50,000-watt voice of Georgia State, 88.5 FM, WRIS, Album 88.